Privilege of coaching your son or daughter. I had the privilege of coaching Mike, and I also had the privilege of coaching against him. And it's just been something special. I'd first like to say congratulations to all of today's award recipients, especially Dana, who also received the Hall of Fame recognition, and to my longtime assistant coach and close friend, Claude Valley, who was recognized with the NISCA Service Award. I was Claude's 7th grade physical education teacher, and it actually took me 2 years to teach him how to swim. 5 years later, he was captain of our high school team and eventually coached with me for over 20 years. As a side note, my son and daughter who are here today are godparents to his younger child. I'd like to say special thanks to my family who traveled here this weekend, my wife Marilyn, my daughter Debbie, and her husband Ron. Ron is on the other side of the water. He's an ice hockey coach, but he's also an athletic director, and he's the liaison for swimming for his sport. My son Mike, who you've just heard from, and his lovely wife Darcy, and my 3 grandsons, 2 of whom are starting to swim a little bit, and I'm still working with the 3rd one, but he'll be going this summer. Special thanks as well to my friends and colleagues who are here from Massachusetts for this occasion, and I'm sure they've made a significant contribution in the Minneapolis economy over the last few days. Special thanks goes to my wife and life coach, Marilyn, who has always supported me 110% through my various endeavors, and she's the master of logistics. She got everybody out here, beat the storm from Massachusetts, so thank you, honey, for all you've done through the years. She was always a huge part of my teams that I coached for 35 years at Weston, and this is a labor of love that she continues to do for our son Mike, who recently coached Wayland High School boys to a state championship this winter. This was actually his 12th state championship between his boys and girls teams in 19 years of coaching. He's doing a great job. Talk about legends. The sport of swimming has been great to me and has defined a significant portion of my life. I learned to swim under the legendary Harold Paulson at the Portland Boys Club as a 7-year-old. And yes, we swam there without suits, except during the meets until we got to high school. I had 2 great coaches in high school, Phil Lucas and Eddie Borse, who convinced me that I could swim on the next level. Bill Hoover at Kent State took a chance on a skinny kid from the state of Maine and gave me a partial scholarship in 1963. One of the GAs who was there, and a gentleman who I learned a lot from and I did my student teaching under, Paul Bergen. What a small world. 4 years later, Coach Hoover helped me get a graduate assistantship to the University of Maryland, where I was fortunate to work for Bill Campbell. Uncle Sam was hot on my trail during the late 60s, and after spending 1 year as the head coach at Niagara University, I spent 3 years on active duty with the Navy. A chance meeting with a senior officer who was on his 2-week reserve duty while my ship was home ported in Boston changed my life forever. He gave me a tip and a contact that landed me the job at Weston, where I became the program's first coach in 1972, right after the Mark Spitz Olympics. There was a lot of excitement around swimming at that time, and Weston had recently built a new pool. My stay there lasted 35 years, and although I put in a lot of hours, I was blessed that I never had to work a day in all of that time. It was truly a labor of love. A shout out to all of the young men and women who swam for the Weston Red Tide. Without their buying into our message, I never would be standing here today being recognized. I was also very proud of their achievements in the classroom and at the pool, but I'm even prouder today of the good parents they've become and their ongoing accomplishments long after their swimming careers were over. I joined NISCA in 1973 and attended my first clinic in 1976 at Brown University, watching future Olympic gold medalist John Neighbor and the USC Trojans win one of their many NCAA titles under Peter DeLand. I've developed some great friendships through this organization and was very fortunate to attend a virtual clinic 4 times per year when my NISCA journal arrived in the mail. Articles that were written for coaches, by coaches, provided ideas that could be quickly implemented into the next day's practice or when received during the summer into our seasonal training plan. My swimmers, and Claude will attest to this, often would say, "Oh no, he got that magazine again," when I started to write that afternoon's workout on the blackboard. In 1994, my good friend Phil Emery asked me to be the presenter for this award to the man who taught me to swim and who was a lifelong mentor, Harold Paulson. Never did I dream that I would one day be receiving this award, and equally meaningful to have it presented by my son Michael and to have my good friend Claude Valley receive a national award on the same day. Thank you, NISCA, for all that you have done for me as a coach, and thank you to the association for all you continue to do for all of the athletes and coaches in our wonderful sport throughout the country. I'm truly blessed. Thank you.